PWBA returns to the Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida. Welcome inside for the finals of the Foundation Games 5. Hello everyone, I'm Jan Schmidt and I'm glad you joined us for the first stop of an 11-week PWBA Fall Tour. This week's format a little bit different than normal. No head-to-head match play, no bonus pins were awarded. It was just qualifying all the way through. The athletes had to bowl on 2 different lane conditioning patterns, and we've narrowed the field to just 4 finalists for tonight's action. And they are qualifying fourth, 15-time champion Anne-Marie Duggan. In the number 3 position, with 5 victories in 2001, Carolyn Dorin Ballard. Qualifying number 2, currently ranked 2nd in career earnings, Wendy Macpherson. And claiming the top spot, leading 5 of the 6 rounds this week, looking for title number 7, Liz Johnson. Working with me tonight, a lady who bowled on both of these patterns, Kathy, Dorin, Lizzie. Kathy, how different were they?
Well, Jan, we bowled on 2 different oil patterns, a long and a short. 32 feet being the short allows a lot of hook in the back end. Therefore, the ladies had to project the ball to the right in order to get to the pocket. 41 feet, on the other hand, projecting it right was not what you wanted to do. You had to close up the heads and go a lot straighter and up the lane in order to be safe to get to the pocket.
Well, in our number 3 position, a lady who's been playing all the angles well. She's in her 11th telecast this season, Carolyn Dorin Ballard.
Well, when you're hot, and Carolyn Dorin Ballard is obviously on fire right now. Carolyn has made 11 of 13 telecasts, won 5 titles already this year, and we still have 10 tournaments to go. And all she wants to do is continue to maintain her focus, her concentration, and to continue to do what is working. Obviously, there's not much that is not working for Carolyn right now, and if it isn't broken, by all means, do not fix it.
It's a good point. Well, our number 2 qualifier, Wendy Macpherson, has topped Carolyn Dorin Ballard for Player of the Year honors the past 3 out of 4 seasons, but she's a little bit behind the pace this year.
Well, this is Wendy's 5th telecast, but no titles. That's definitely a Wendy we are not accustomed to seeing out here. But Wendy noticed that on the sport condition, because it is more challenging, she developed a few bad habits that needed to be worked on. Over the break, she went home, saw her coach, took a few lessons, got a few tips, came out this week a lot more confident and relaxed, comfortable with her adjustments, saw success in what she improved on, and that's why she's number 2 tonight. But don't count Wendy out, ever.
Well, I won't, and we'll see what'll happen. We're ready for the first match. Macpherson, Carolyn Dorin Ballard, and Duggan will battle it out. Quick low 5 by the 3 ladies. Once again, the Foundation Games 5. We were here last year, and there have been a few Foundation Games in between, some with some of the PBA players, some regional events, and we're up to the 5th Foundation game. Carolyn Dorin Ballard first up. A face I'm sure you have not forgotten.
Matching her attire with her equipment.
And a little bit distracted right now.
Red being symbolic, my father's favorite color is red. We just hope the red ball works.
Yeah, exactly. Missing the head pin with a washout. And Wendy Macpherson will be next up. Wendy, the number 2 qualifier, and in this format, Wendy was the one who got to select what conditioning pattern they would bowl this match on.
Yes.
And she picked which one?
The long. This is the long, 41 feet. And as a matter of fact, Wendy was the most consistent out of the top 4 bowlers on both patterns, but really excelled on the long. I think yesterday she did say in her interview, though, you can stay safer on the long. You don't run into too many problems.
Right. Oh, good run at it, but unfortunate. And part of her explanation was if she had to sit for periods of time, you can run into bigger problems on the short pattern when the hand swells up and things. As our first look at Anne-Marie Duggan, we were planning to bring you a lot of technical information, but we actually have had, believe it or not, a rain delay in bowling here tonight. A major storm outside, a lot of audio problems, and we aren't able to get some of that technical information up for you, which is why we cut to 4 bowlers to provide time for that. So we will be able to hopefully see all our matches in their entirety tonight. qualified third with a 212 average, nearly 213, and that's just off her pace for qualifying this year.
Excellent shot by Carolyn. Nice and straight on 41 feet because it's longer oil. You want to go straighter to get to the pocket.
Speaking of a rain delay, she's using a baseball.
Yes, she is. Henry's very sports-oriented with her spare ball. She's had a soccer ball also, and a basketball.
Those are pretty fun to work with and bowl with. Wendy Macpherson taking a little bit of time looking at the rack. As you mentioned at the top, Kathy, 5th appearance for Wendy Macpherson this year. She had 15 last year, a record season. 12 was our record prior to that. So a big year for her in shows last year, making 5 shows not look as good, but for most players, it would be a great record for this year.
Yes, that's just going to show you that she, because of her previous performances, is probably a little behind what she's accustomed to. Great shot by Wendy, though.
So we will see the number 4, 3, and 2 bowlers in this match, and then the winner will take on our top seed. So just 2 matches tonight. Big strike for Anne-Marie Duggan. And if you're enjoying the action, the PWBA Fall Tour is heating up as we visit Coral Lanes in Cape Coral, Florida for the Storm Challenge, September 15th through the 20th. Then we head north for the Jacksonville Open from Cassett's Bat Bowl, Saturday, September 22nd through Thursday, the 27th. It's up north to North Myrtle Beach Bowling Center for the North Myrtle Beach Classic, Sunday, September 30th through October 4th. Be sure to come out and visit the best bowlers in the world when they come to your area. Look at the scoreboard, and Wendy Macpherson in the lead. 2 strikes to start the match. Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard with that open frame, that washout to start, but back on track. All 3 ladies striking in the second frame. .214 average on this pair. Now that's an overall average for both lane conditioning patterns on this particular pair of lanes.
Which is an extremely high average considering how the scores were. Took 61 under to make the 24, even though there weren't bonus pins, which is still about a 190 or so average. So 214's exceptional.
Oh, and almost a horrible break. Almost leaving the 7-10 there, but fortunate to kick the 7 out.
And again, as we've been saying week to week, the sport condition, you're not going to strike a lot sometimes on certain conditions, so 9 spare is a great frame.
And Wendy was telling us how it magnifies her, the problems she's been having are magnified on this condition.
Because the conditions are so much tougher than the regular conditions we've bowled on in the past on tour. You do not get away with your mistakes as easy on a sport condition. You pay for everything.
So Carolyn changes equipment and shoots that 10-pin. Wendy Macpherson coming light. What are a couple of the changes that she worked on with her coach, Sam Baca? She was working mostly, did she do some grip changes?
She did a grip change. She changed her pitches and her thumb to come out of the ball just a little more clean and quick. Wendy really gets it out onto the lane nice. She wanted to get out of it a little quicker. She worked on her arm swing. She has a tendency to have a little bit of a glitch in her swing. And on the sport condition, like we said, the longer they go, the straighter you have to be. And it really showed. I crossed with Wendy, and she bowled fantastic.
Well, Anne-Marie Duggan looking very strong also tonight. She's now working on a double. Nobody now will shoot 300, though, this match, but there is that bonus out there as last swing, Travelodge Hotels, a $50,000 bonus for any woman that shoots 300 on our national broadcast.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
I can think of 50,000 reasons to win that one.
Come on.
So Carolyn striking on lane 10, but so far no strikes on lane 9. Wendy right now, we're talking about her years in comparison. She's 4th in points, 6th in earnings, and 3rd in average. Really, as we're saying, a very good season.
Yes.
But just not number 1 like she's been.
Right. When you're number 1 for so long, you're just accustomed to being up there, and everybody else is accustomed to you being up there also. 3rd for her is actually under par. but would be exceptional for anyone else.
Anne-Marie Duggan, another lady who told us she liked both patterns. Really did not even have a preference for which one she preferred.
No, and I crossed with her also, and Anne-Marie also worked over the break with her husband, Pat, getting her ball out onto the lane a little flatter because it overreacts if she does the opposite, and on this, it's very magnified.
So Wendy with that open frame takes 2, and Anne-Marie Duggan changing balls to shoot her 4th pin. So through 4 frames, Anne-Marie Duggan has the lead. And as we break with a sad note. Carolyn Dorin Ballard and Kathy Dorin Lizzie's father, George Dorin, who was affectionately known by many PWBA members as Big G, passed away August 5th in Linden, New Jersey. Big G was an ex-prisoner of war, and he received the Bronze Star plus many other medals of honor. Thus, he was appropriately laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery. Our prayers go out to his wife, Marianne, Carolyn, Kathy, and the rest of the Dorin family. We miss you, Big G. Average to make match play, you can see it, you're talking about it, Kathy, 196, nearly 197. It took 212 to make the show. High game, though. Michelle Feldman, 295. How'd she pull that off?
We have no idea. We were wondering the same thing after she did it.
Once again, we're bowling on a condition that complies with the sport bowling pattern. Carolyn Dorin Ballard now up in the 6th frame and had that big double, which had actually put her into the lead.
Again, like Wendy's, perfect off her hand and then checks up just a little too soon in the back. Goes right through the nose. Fortunately, Wendy's was a little more makeable than that one. But on the same lane also. So maybe the right lane is breaking down a little bit because the girls are playing in the same area.
And I'm noticing they're using a little more surface than normal.
Yes, 41 feet. Depends on your volumes too, where they are on the lane. We had to use surface on the longer pattern because the oil only carries down statistically anyway. So with 41 feet, it carried down a little further. You needed some surface on your ball to get the ball to do something.
And that would be to help create a little friction, get it to hook a little bit sooner.
Yes, we needed to see our ball roll, and we needed to see it arc into the pins. And that's where the surface comes in. Easy spare for Wendy. And whether you're on 41 feet or 32, plastic ball all the time with those spares. Definitely the single pins.
Good tip for the bowlers at home. Anne-Marie Duggan again with a 4-pin, but still in the pocket and finds herself right back in the lead in this match because she's just not making the big mistake and staying clean.
Yes. Once you try to strike, you lose the pocket.
Now, Carolyn told us she preferred the long pattern because she prefers to go a little bit straighter up the lane as you were talking about.
Yes, and also because you're not going to run into any fancy or freaky hook spots that's going to make you alter your angles into the pocket. So staying longer on the pattern allows you to just be more aggressive with surface, and it'll stay on line better. Once you have to go away from the pocket, you know as well as I do, it could go anywhere.
Exactly. Oh, and talk about going anywhere. That went everywhere but where she wanted it. And this is when she's going to have to regroup and rework on the attitude.
Yes. She will, though. I have all the confidence in her. She's going to take a step back and regroup herself, definitely.
Wendy doing some work on her bowling ball there. A little bit of tape in it, looked like.
Well, it was very, very cold in here all week while we bowled.
Actually, I think she may be picking up a different bowling ball. Wendy may be changing to another ball. We'll have to take a look when she steps up. Going high, leaving the 310. Oh, she didn't, but it was a different ball she was adding tape to, so maybe it was either a spare ball or she's contemplating making a change.
Yes, it was very cold in here all week. Girls were adding tape and re-adding tape as we went along. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was adding some tape. Great shot off Anne-Marie's hand there, but because of her rotation, checked up again. That one almost went left of the head pin. Came up high, 310, no problem with the spare.
Well, things are heating up here, and Boy, it's a close one. We'll be back with a little bit more in just a moment. The man the public voted the best of the best for the 20th century had one of the most fluid and consistent styles in the history of the game. Sadly, we will no longer be graced by his presence. On Tuesday, August 14th, bowling lost its most prolific champion and one of its most popular heroes. Earl Anthony, the first man to win $100,000 in a year, the first to exceed $1 million in career earnings, and the winner of 50 national and senior tour titles, died unexpectedly in Milwaukee while visiting friends. Anthony's legacy will never be forgotten. He was known by many as Earl the Pearl, and he was indeed a true gem to bowling. The PWBA extends its sympathy to Earl's wife Susie and the rest of the Anthony family. There's a look at the score right now in the Foundation Games 5 in the semifinal match. Wendy Macpherson in the lead by 8 pins. Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard trailing by 10, and Anne-Marie Duggan just down by 8. That shot of the golf course obviously was before all the rain.
Yeah, had to be.
Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard, 57 TV appearances. Carolyn talked about one of her strengths this week was spare shooting. Very important item, as you've been talking about throughout this show, and throughout the year it's been a major item for the players.
Especially on the sport condition, you have to make your spares because you will be leaving quite a few of them, but it won't matter if you make them. So you have to really be a good spare shooter. Carolyn, very aggressive bowler, gets it a little wide to the right, but because she stays down and follows through, only leaves the 7-pin. If she was a little tentative because the oil is longer, which some girls are, she could have left more than just the 7-pin. So you have to be aggressive regardless of how tight the lane appears to be.
So she covers up the spare.
Looking at Leanne Barrett from Pleasanton, California. She finished 6th, just missing by 100 pins. And Kelly Kulik, another neighbor of mine from New Jersey.
Shanna Ray, Corpus Christi, 11 out of the last 13 cuts. Great job. And Dee Davidson, boy, I think she's just warming up for the majors at the end of the season. She hits everyone big time.
As usual. We can't shake her in the majors.
Wendy took a re-rack while we were looking at some of those other finishers, didn't like something, and really wants this double.
Oh, and she gets it, trips the 4-pin.
She obviously picked the right rack.
Great shot, but you can see it's still checking up right there, but stops, trips the 4-pin. That's what you want your ball to do. You want it to lay off.
Anne-Marie Duggan now in the 8th frame. She picked up that 310 split and cannot carry, but you heard her say she threw that bad, I believe. Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard now in the 9th and really needs to set up a strike here.
You know, Carolyn preferred the longer pattern, which is what they're bowling on now. But she said her weakness was her speed control, because on the longer you need to be softer. She doesn't look like she had a problem on that shot, though. That keeps her in it.
Big setup shot in the 9th frame. Anne-Marie Duggan going for her spare. Anne-Marie on Storm staff, as well as Turbo and Anne-Marie's bowlingbowlmall.com.
Yes, for all the bowlers and all their bowling needs. They care about bowling and they care about the bowlers. So visit them.
Wendy Macpherson, a member of Columbia staff. Also Mongoose and Contour Power Grips. It looks like she chose to stay with this ball throughout the match and now working on a double.
Now this is the lane that appears to be hooking a little bit more, so it'll be interesting to see if she made some type of adjustment.
And she obviously did.
Yeah, she looks like she moved in a little and threw it a little harder.
And that'll make the ball slide a little bit more.
Yes, but because of the friction on the ball, it's still going to recover.
Anne-Marie now in the 9th frame.
Wendy's 5 steps, pushes on her 2nd. Not too much of a knee bend, but boy is she firm at the release and the follow-through. That's why she's so great, and she repeats. It doesn't really matter how you get there, but get there every time the same way, and you can really become a great athlete.
Anne-Marie again changing balls to shoot the 3-6-10.
Great spare. Michelle Feldman from Skaneateles, New York, finishing up in 16th. Her grandfather, her biggest fan. And Julie Jackson from North Carolina just came out this year full-time.
And there's that Iron Woman still bowling. I think it's number 207 in a row. Kathy, there you are, along with Laura Lee Daniel, tied for 21st, but hey, made the cuts, great. And Lucy ex-Giovinco, now Sandelin,
yes.
Recently married, an amateur, former Team USA member. She finished up in 24th, couple of amateurs there, so come on out. You can bowl now if you're an amateur and meet our eligibility requirements. Wendy Macpherson in the lead now by just 9 pins over Carolyn Dorin Ballard and by 11 over Anne-Marie Duggan. They step up in the 10th frame. Carolyn Dorin Ballard, the only one working on a strike here as we step into the 10th.
Well, what all three things that these ladies have in common is they bowl loose and they bowl confident. And that's what makes them great players. You have to be loose and you have to be confident.
And they're all checking out the score also right now. Carolyn Dorin Ballard, a member of Ebonite's staff, as well as Contour Power Grips.
They're all probably nail biting too, so that's another thing in common. Good shot. Excellent shot.
Carolyn Dorin Ballard can strike out for a maximum score of 204. Wendy Macpherson would need to double if Carolyn Dorin Ballard did strike out. Wendy's max score possibility 213 and Anne-Marie Duggan's max score possibility 202.
Well, and Wendy said her strength this week was good shot making, so we'll see. And she didn't lie. Excellent shot.
That was the time for it, but Carolyn Dorin Ballard can put some major pressure back on Wendy Macpherson right here with another strike.
And you can see Wendy going a lot straighter. So whatever the changes were that she did, her arms swinging her pitches, obviously this week it's definitely agreeing with her. It's great to see that because these ladies work very hard. Another great shot right off her hand.
She takes a glance at the score. Wendy will have to strike here or Carolyn Dorin Ballard will be able to win this match with a strike.
Yes. Regardless of what Anne-Marie does.
Right. How's it look?
Oh my God.
That is not possible.
There is just no explanation. Excellent off her hand. Look at the rotation. Speed was perfect. But we saw probably 108 pins this week. And it was Wendy that joked about it just to me yesterday. Wow. She could not have thrown it any better.
So Carolyn Dorin Ballard needs a strike to advance 9. She could tie with Wendy Macpherson. Uh-oh. Oh, my.
She got that in a little bit at the release.
So that's a 201 for Carolyn Dorin Ballard. Wendy Macpherson will now need this spare to stay ahead, to close out, really, Anne-Marie Duggan. Or we could have a tie in that direction.
Oh, my God.
It must have been the rain delay.
It had to be.
I do not believe what I'm seeing here.
Anne-Marie Duggan can now strike out to win, to tie Wendy for a roll-off.
This is the most amazing. If Carolyn had gotten 8, we could have had a 3-way tie. They will have a, if they would be a tie, it would be a 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
Yes, and what's really puzzling is Anne-Marie really had the most consistent reaction out of everybody, and she's fighting to stay in it. Oh. Another great shot, all 3 ladies.
Yes, Wendy, I think you did survive despite that missed 8-pin. So Wendy Macpherson will advance. But first, when we come back, a glimpse of tomorrow's stars.
Tell me what you said.
There's a look. You can see they're stripping the lanes and reconditioning them. Liz Johnson, our top seed, will have the choice of the lane pattern for the championship match. When we return, find out what the foundation is, and still to come, that championship match. Welcome back to the Foundation Games 5. Final score match 1, Wendy Macpherson 202 to Dorin Ballard's 201 and Duggan's 189. Coming up next, Macpherson will challenge Johnson for the title. In addition to the training center, Kegel builds and maintains many of the lane maintenance machines for PWBA, as well as many bowling centers throughout the world. And the trophy will take you around the world. One of these ladies will go home with that Foundation Games 5 trophy. Liz Johnson, our top seed, will start the match. And Kathy, she's chosen the short pattern.
Yeah, she was a lot more comfortable on the short because Liz's A game is to go hard and straight. She feels she can be more aggressive on the short. On the long, the breakdown got a little squirrely for her, and she would lose her angle into the pocket. So short is definitely better for someone that can throw it hard and straight like Liz. Smart move.
Leaves a 10-pin on her opening shot. You saw some of those junior gold winners. I think the PWBA members better look out, because Shannon Plahowski, who actually just won for the 3rd year in a row those national championships, she was actually just named the Collegiate Rookie of the Year and the Collegiate MVP in addition. So look for that name, if you can say it, in a few years out here.
Well, thank God we have to wear our names on our backs.
Spare for Liz Johnson. Wendy Macpherson now will have to make the transition to bowl on the short pattern, which is something you did all week, Kathy. You'd bowl 1 squat on the long and then 1 squat on the short, correct?
Yes. And Wendy definitely was the most consistent on both patterns, so I don't think she's going to have that much difficulty bowling on the short, but we don't know. Now here it looks like she changed balls, obviously to something that's going to clear a lot better, because you're going to have plenty of recovery because it's only 32 feet.
So she's going with a shinier surface.
Probably a weaker ball. Great shot, but see, she gets it all the way out to about 4 or 5, and it comes ripping back to the pocket.
So Wendy attempting to convert the spare and covers that 7-pin. And once again, it's a PWBA member who was voted the Bowling Writers Association of America Bowler of the Month, and that's for the month of July, Cara Honeychurch. It was a unanimous vote. Cara had a great month in July and is currently 2nd in all of our standings, but didn't make this telecast. Wendy Macpherson in the 2nd frame now, and she told us her big weakness this week was missing too many spares.
Yes, she said about 150, 180 pins in missed spares, and then missed that spare in the 10th frame of the last game to really make it close.
Yeah, that was almost 1 too many missed spares. It almost put her right out of the competition.
Yes, and that's not like Wendy to miss a lot of spares.
Liz Johnson now the only one of our finalists that actually... Did she make the show last year? Wendy made the show last year. Wendy Macpherson made the show last year. Liz was close but did not make the show. Coming up light, leaving a 2-pin. She's going away a little bit with the ball.
That's a lot away for Liz too. Way out. I mean, all the way to the 2 board. Catches a little hang on the way down to the pocket. Just leaves the 2-pin. Throws her plastic ball at it, no problem on that spare. Now she would soften up her speed a little bit because, like we said, her A game is hard and straight. That ball would have came back, probably went flush. Ball speed very critical in the sport condition.
Now this year, this event with only 2 patterns. Last year, you bowled on 3 different patterns, and the explanation there was that 2 patterns give a little more of judge an equal chance to 2 different styles, versus with a 3rd pattern, sometimes that pattern favored the players that like the short or the long. So, oh my. She's definitely having some difficulty, not
Yes.
obviously meaning.
Yeah, this doesn't look like the girl I crossed next to. looked a little in off her hand, but then slid right into the gutter. That's a shame, too.
And that was working on a spare.
She doesn't look comfortable yet.
Nearly $360,000 in career earnings. And one of her strengths, ironically, this week was playing the gutter and the consistency in playing that gutter.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not there today.
It's funny because I crossed with Wendy and Anne Marie, and I was right next to Liz and Carolyn. So I watched every one of them very closely, and they all deserved to make it. They bowled absolutely fantastic. But Liz, the most consistent, played both conditions very identical.
Now, Kathy, you do some training here, right, in the Kegel Training Center?
Yes. I worked on their CATS machine with Richard Shockley. Excellent. Anybody that has the time should come down and work on their machines. How beneficial it is, I can't even say. Just really gives you an idea. The numbers don't lie. Lets you know where your weaknesses are and your strengths. If you want to improve your bowling, this is definitely the place to come.
Wendy's first shot.
Same leave, but didn't quite get it out as far as the other one, so it didn't cut back.
Once again, shooting the spare and covering it nicely. Well, we talk about Wendy and the level she's played at for the past 5 years, Kathy. Now, she told us she felt this year she's bowling atrocious is the term that she used, and yet still made 5 shows. I mean, it's kind of really hard, and we've been talking about it, to look at an athlete that's been so far on top for so many years, and now she has to make some changes.
Yes, and it's hard to explain to people that the #1 bowler in 5 years, or 4 out of 5 years, could actually have troubles or bad habits. But we're human too, and you bowl 20 weeks a year, and her bad habits are just as bad as everybody else's. She just hides them better because she's that seasoned, you know,
Exactly.
with her talents.
And you can see, boy, they're having some trouble if that ball is scooting way right, not wanting to get back.
Yes, and unfortunately, with 32 feet, if they tend to move right off of an errant shot like that, the ball will probably hook early. So now you're torn between what to do.
Well, the championship match is just underway. Wendy Macpherson is out in front for now, at least. We'll be right back. Liz Johnson now up in the 4th frame. She trails by 9 pins after that gutter ball. And this time, another disastrous shot, and we saw her in between, kind of wiping her shoe a little bit, maybe slipping just a little bit or sticking a little bit.
It could be. I didn't notice many girls having a problem with the approaches all week, but, you know, show day is a different day like every day. She just doesn't look comfortable, but the condition definitely looks tougher.
Oh. And that's not a spare you'd expect to say take 4 of those 5.
Plastic ball sliding by the 610. Flips. She gets 4, eh? 4 out of 5 ain't bad.
And she just reached into her bag, taking out another ball. So both of these ladies still fishing at this point in time. And understand, this is a little bit different because they changed the oiling pattern, put it out there, and there isn't the 45 minutes of warm-up that typically happens with all 5 ladies before the television show.
Right.
So it may be changing quicker for them. They only had 10 shots apiece for warm-up, so it's not what they, you know, we're used to seeing 45 minutes with 5 ladies, and then the pattern stays throughout all matches.
Yes, now she switched to a weaker ball that flares less than the ball she was previously throwing, and it has a lot more shine. That was a better shot, much better shot, leaving that 4-pin. Maybe that ball can loosen her up a little bit. You know, the condition has a lot to do with how loose you're going to be at times. If you're searching for the shot, you're not going to be as confident or loose throwing the ball, unfortunately.
Absolutely, and people get in trouble with that because then they don't execute well, and then you can't line up because you're not executing. But there won't be any 300s. Once again, no 300 tonight, but Travelodge will have that bonus. They've assured me on the table for next week, $50,000 for any woman shooting a 300. And both of these ladies are struggling.
And
Wendy
we said before with Wendy, excuse me, about her bad habits. When you're on and you're hot, you get away with your bad habits. But when you reach certain conditions that magnify the bad habits, you got to change them. That's exactly what she did.
Wendy spent a lot of time over the break with her family, just doing a lot of fun type of things. Spent some time with her niece.
Little Kendall, going to the water parks. And, of course, Wendy, we all know, likes her video poker.
But how do you know that?
Because I'm usually sitting right next to her.
Okay. But she really said she enjoyed her family, some barbecues, and had some cute stories of the pool side and being at the pool with the little kids.
Yes.
And some accidents that sometimes happen in a pool. So she had a very good time.
Now this shot here, almost identical to the other shot, gets it out, comes back really nice, but leaves a flat 10. Flat 10 meaning it didn't drive into the pocket as hard to kick it out.
And Wendy just taking that spare.
That was close.
You know, Wendy averaged 215 this week. Huge on the condition that was out.
Yes.
And unfortunately, really struggling here. But Liz Johnson now with the ball change. Let's see what it does for her.
Much better.
We talked about a couple of amateurs that made the finals this week. Once again, we've changed our eligibility rules, and you may participate if you meet average requirements. You can cash a maximum of 3 times per year. Our regional members can now bowl an unlimited number of national events. And you must participate in that orientation meeting so you can know the etiquette and rules before you would bowl an event. So for more information, call PWBA at 815-332-5756. Liz Johnson now up in the 7th frame, working on a strike. She trails by 18 pins. Going high with the 3-6.
Now on the 32-foot pattern you see there on that shot by Liz, you cannot go left with the ball. You've got to go right with it. She got left a little bit there, and your result is always going to be high.
Oh, and just covers that spare, but Wendy Macpherson still in the lead, but it's a close one. The final 3 frames will decide this one. Don't go away. We're back in the championship game of the Foundation Games 5. Liz Johnson trailing by 17 pins. She's up in the 9th.
Excellent.
Yeah, big setup strike in the 9th frame. Wendy Macpherson with a big split in the 8th while we were away for 2 frames. The scoring low, so 2 shots being thrown every frame. We're running into a little bit of a time issue, so Wendy struck and split in the 7th and 8th, and now steps up in the 9th, ahead by 17 pins.
Does not look like what they've bowled on all week, unfortunately.
Well, don't get worried if you're considering bowling a sport bowling league. You still should try it. It's very good. It will definitely tune your skills.
And as we've said before,
the championship round finals of the Foundation Games 5 are being brought to you by the Women's International Bowling Congress, striving for 86 years to identify and fulfill the needs of women bowlers. By Travelodge Hotels, first with families, relax with Travelodge. And by PWBA.com, the official site for news and information about the Professional Women's Bowling Association. Wendy Macpherson in the 10th frame. Strike for Wendy. She can strike out for a 182. Liz Johnson can still strike out for 186. So Liz is right back in that match because of 2 splits back to back.
it's going to be another nail biter.
Do you have any left?
I don't bite my nails, actually, so yeah, I have a couple.
Big shot here by Wendy Macpherson.
Looks good. She needs them all, too.
She does. She basically has just forced Liz Johnson to double in the 10th. Wendy Macpherson once again going for her first title this year, but it would be title number 19.
And as we said, even though the scores are low, it does make you a better bowler if that's what you're looking for, to bowl on the sport condition. You will become more accurate and you will become a better spare shooter. So it is a good test.
And when the heat was on, she came through like a champion, double and 9 in the 10th for a 181. So Liz Johnson will need a double and 6 pins in order to win this match.
It was a smart move of Liz to switch balls, or it probably might not even be this close. That was a great move on her part.
That's a good point and a good lesson to learn. These matches go fast.
Yes. Great shot. Liz is an excellent pressure bowler.
Wendy can do nothing but look on. Wiping her shoe again, trying to make sure she gets a good, secure slide and drying off her hand.
You know, Liz had mentioned that sometimes her focus wanders, but it doesn't look like it's wandering right now.
Must strike.
Wow. Unbelievable what we've seen tonight.
Does not get any better than that. Both ladies finding the pocket,
yes,
throwing great shots in the 10th frame. Liz will now need 6 pins to defeat Wendy Macpherson, but based on what happened last match, I wouldn't say that's a guarantee.
We've also stressed on the sport condition mental toughness. That is exactly what you've seen tonight in the 10th frames. Oh my God.
7 is enough. Liz Johnson wins her 8th title of her career. We'll be right back with more. There's the champion of the Foundation Games 5, Liz Johnson. Final score 183 to 181. Join us again next Monday from Davie, Florida. For Kathy, Dorin, Lizzie, I'm Jan Schmidt saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.